Any questions on squares? All right, let's go ahead and go to rhombuses. I think rhombuses are like a huge mixture between parallelograms and squares. So it has a little bit, well, it has all of the parallelogram features or characteristics. So let's write that down. Or properties, all properties of parallelogram plus, and then we'll write them down. So let's go ahead and first draw a rhombus. Looks a lot like a parallelogram. So for this one, just like the properties of a parallelogram, we have opposite sides are parallel. And this side is parallel to this side. And they're also congruent. So opposite sides are parallel and congruent, but because this is a rhombus, this is where it looks like a square, because all of the sides are congruent. And again, for a parallelogram, we have opposite angles are congruent. So if we were to name this rhombus A, B, D, C, then we have angle angle C is congruent to angle B. And then angle A is congruent to angle D. And then consecutive angles are supplementary. Again, if they're right next to each other, like C and D, so angle C and angle D equal 180. If we have angle A and angle B, they're equal to 180. If we have angle A and angle C, they're equal to 180. And if we have angle B plus angle D, they're also equal to 180. So as long as they're next to each other, they're equal to 180. All right, and just like a square, if we were to draw our diagonals bisect each other, which means that this side is congruent to this side, and this one is congruent to this one. This one's different from a square because remember, a square, all of the diagonals were equal. This one is more like a parallelogram where it's only the sides on the same side of the diagonal are equal. So those of you in class, if you could just erase and are. So it's just diagonals bisect each other. And then, just like a square, my diagonals bisect opposite angles. Which means that this angle is congruent to this one. This one is congruent to this one. But when we look at the other angles that are bisected, these are also congruent to each other, but notice how they're not congruent to the previous one. I'll do a minute. So this one is congruent to this one. So let's say this is 100 degrees. This side is also going to be 100 degrees. And if these two are supplementary, oopsie, actually, then this is 80 degrees. And this one is 8, and I am wrong. Hold on, that one can't be 100. My bad, sorry guys. Ah, this one is 50 degrees, this one is 50 degrees, if this whole thing is 100 degrees. And if that's 100 degrees, then that means this one's 80 degrees. And what are these measurements if that 80-degree angle is bisected? 40. And just like a square, my diagonals also intersect at 90 degrees. So this is 90, this is 90, and the rest of them are 90. Any questions so far? All right, let's go ahead and go on to my first example. We have rhombus, LMAO, and then we have these two diagonals. One. Let's start off with a given measurement. We have the measure of angle 2 is equal to 36 degrees. So this one is 36 degrees. All right. So what can we find out from that 36-degree angle? Four is also 36. Actually, it is. Great job. So this one is also 36. Because remember, opposite angles are congruent and they bisect each other. Great job. What else? 30, angle 5 is also 36 because remember they're being bisected. Good job. What else do we know? Which one? Angle 3 is also 36. Perfect. One. So remember, if we look at our diagonals, they intersect at how many degrees? They intersect at 90 degrees, right? So if we're looking at just this part of the angle, what is that measurement? That one is 90, right? So angle 1 is 90 degrees. This one is 90 degrees and so on. Good job. All right, what else do we know? What do we know about the angles inside a triangle that's formed? How many degrees is a triangle? 180. So if you look at, there's 4 triangles that are in here. Do you guys see them? And each one of the 4 triangles have 2 measurements that we can use. So what can we do to find angles 6, 7, 8, and 9? Right, we can add the 2 angles that we know, 90 plus 36, that's 126, and then subtract it from 180, and we get 54 degrees. All right, so now that we know that's 54 degrees, what else can we find out? Perfect. 6, 7, and 8 are all also 54 degrees. Any questions? All right, we have two more examples. We have rhombus SRS TV and and the diagonals bisect at W. The information given is that the measure of SVT is equal to 55 degrees. So S, V, and T. So we're looking at this measurement is 55. And we want to know what the measurement of RVT is. So RVT. We want to know what this whole thing is. What can we do? So to subtract it from 180, 180 degrees is a line. So if this was what it looked like, where it was two angles on a line, then we can subtract it from 180. Remember, these are 90 degrees also. I don't know if that doesn't really make any difference. But what do we know about this angle here and this angle here? So what do we know about the angle here and the angle here? They're congruent. They have to be the same. So then if we're going to combine both of them, what is that bigger angle going to be? What can we do to 55? Right, we can multiply it by 2 because this is also 55. So 55 times 2 gives us 110 degrees. Any questions so far? All right, let's go ahead and go on to the last example. We have rhombus RSTV again. And the diagonal intersects at W. Giving us the measurement of angle RST is 68 degrees. So R, go to S, then T. So we're looking at this whole thing is 68 degrees. Who's your teacher, sweetheart? Okay, what's your name? We got the measure of, we want to find out what the measure of RSW is. So if we start at R, S, and W, we just need to know this section right here. What can we do to that angle to find out what RSW is equal to? So if the whole thing is 68, how can we find out that little section? What do we know about these two angles? This one and this one. No, the whole thing is 68. But when it's bisected, what does that mean? That they're equal. So if they're equal, then what is the measurement of each angle going to be? The whole thing is 68. Right. We're going to divide it by 2 to get 34 degrees. So this one is 34 and this angle is 34. Any questions?